Hey guys, welcome back. It is TechLock here. It has been at least a year since I did one of these unit build videos, and I thought it was about fair time to bring it back and do a special one-off for two reasons. First off, anyone who's been following this channel knows I'm a massive Sacred Stones fanboy, and I've been waiting for a Grail project, and Young Innis between his BST, the Bow of Freya, and the fact that he's from Sacred Stones made him a perfect project and an interesting unit to talk about. Secondly, I do want to do a 100 sub special and just say thank you. This started off as just a stupid hobby, and I never thought I would even get to like 25 subs, so the fact I'm at 100, even though it seems small, it's super cool. Just want to say thank you. It's been awesome. Appreciate all the support. And part 2 of the 100 sub special, I will be doing a summoning video on the spanner, so stay tuned for that. But back to what we're talking about is this boy right here, Young Innis. And just a precursor, I'm going to be talking mostly about PVE content and arena content for builds on the whole spectrum of what he can be used for. Go check out Phoenix Master 1, did a great video. Aether Raids, Acros is your guy for that one, has some couple builds, good builds on that video. But I wanted to do this video because there's this particular build that neither of them has talked about whatsoever. Well, I think Phoenix Master may have touched on it like a little bit, but it makes so much sense to me. I don't know why so many people aren't talking about it as much. And I'll go over what the Bow of Freya does and why this build I'm thinking of works so well with it. So accelerate special cooldown -1, above 25% HP, attack speed +6, great. Mini Wodow +7, and then the mini Deadeye where it nullifies damage reduction skills. Perfect. But why this is so good is, why are we not talking about Special Spiral? Like, it just seems perfect. Where, especially in a PvE world where you have Bonfire and you're running Quick Impulse, and this is obviously with the support of someone running an Infantry Pulse team, so Bow of Freya would take Bonfire down to -2, Quick Impulse down to -1, Infantry Pulse ready on turn 1, Sturdy Impact giving extra defense, extra attack, super boon defense, Rouse speed defense is pretty cheap, Inheritance, and then you're just, I know he has a super boon in speed, but if you can nuke them with the +7 damage and not having to worry about damage reduction effects, you can just nuke them on one turn with Sturdy Impact, and then just have that proc over and over and over again with Special Spiral as soon as you get it done. 2 cooldown, 2 cooldown, 2 cooldown, Bonfire. I mean, it makes so much sense to me why this would not be just a massive advantage for PvE content. It's just Young Innis just launching Scud missiles of Bonfires with Special Spiral. So I think this might be the ideal build for PvE. Now, I wish he had a super boon in res, because then we could go with something like this. Mirror Impact is a lot easier to get off of the Divine Code 1 paths. Summer Levitain, who I think is a trash unit. She just is awful in the meta, and I don't see anyone running her ever. So really easy to fodder. Mirror Impact. Steady Impact is super premium. And the units you have it on, typically you don't want to get rid of them. Like, I have a Tibarn, an OG Tibarn, and a Summer Lid, and they're both great units in their own right, and I really don't want to get rid of them. And then for Divine Codes 2, yeah, it's the third along the first pathway, but it's also tied to Guard Bearing, and I think Guard Bearing, while Steady Impact is pretty premium skill, Guard Bearing is even more premium. So if I'm going to go for grabbing that combat manual, I'm going for Guard Bearing, not Steady Impact. So I wish it was Mirror Impact. It would just be a lot easier to pick up from the Divine Codes path and fodder into him. Again, making Iceberg the same thing. I mean, we're looking at 30 res here versus 30 defense here. So tomato, and then Times Pulse. And then I like Sorcery Blade on him, just frankly because a lot of these units with damage reduction, Legendary and Brave Dimitri both come to mind, have trash resistance. So throwing him next to a mage that obviously you need someone to have a Infantry Pulse support. So Infantry Pulse support and throw him next to a mage, Sorcery Blade, targeting resistance. There's no way with his amazing attack stack, plus Mirror Impact, plus Bow of Freya, and the Wodow, and the Iceberg, there's no way you're not nuking Legendary and Brave Dimitri into oblivion, and they're just getting that Iceberg ready again to do the same thing on the next turn. But that's, I guess, PVE. I guess the discussion, it's more of a discussion once you start getting into using different specials, because I guess these two builds are predominant on the fact that you're using Iceberg and Bonfire as your specials. Once you get into something like when it's more geared towards Arena, which I said I would talk about because obviously I want to use them in my Arena core with the 175 BST. I guess that's where you would go with Speed Super Boon. Blue Flame works really well with Sorcery Blade. You both have to be next to someone in order to take advantage of the 25 damage from Blue Flame and then the targeting the lower defense or resistance by Sorcery Blade. Swift Sparrow is actually works really well with him. It's the easy inheritance because if you're going to get Special Spiral from Divine Codes of 1 from Levin, the next one is Dancer Ishtar, and she has Swift Sparrow 3. So along the same path, I think that's easy to use your Divine Codes on, and I think that's one of the best paths to use your Divine Codes on. So you'd be able to get these two fodders from Divine Codes 1, same path, and then Times Pulse, yes, very high inheritance, I'm well aware, but we do need something in order to get Blue Flame down to immediate turn 1 use, and I don't think 2 infantry pulse units is feasible. I think it's a lot to ask. So Times Pulse there, Sorcery Blade, Blue Flame. I throw Blue Flame in here. It's not his optimal, but it's the cheaper version. From Divine Codes 1, you get it from Owain. He's the third option in one of the paths in Divine Codes 1, but Gale Force, too high cooldown and not really useful on Young Innis, and Aether is just way too high of a cooldown to make sense on him. And that's, I mean, throwing Aether on it would be purely for scoring purposes, and yeah, just purely for scoring purposes. You didn't have another option, and the reason why I'm focusing so much on Special Spirals, everyone's talking about no follow-up, and I'm like, that's great and all, except if you nuke them from the beginning, which is what I keep talking about, is just nuking them from the beginning. And that's also, I guess, kind of dependent on the fact that you're using a 3-turn special. Once you go to his optimal special, which is Ruptured Sky, with Bow of Freya, it becomes a 1-turn special, which I guess at that instance, Special Spiral does indeed lose its value, and then you can use, on a premium skill, you can use no follow-up here. On a budget, Windsweep works just as well, but Times Pulse plus Blow of Faith gets Ruptured Sky ready as one, and now I see where it would be more beneficial to get with the Speed Super Boon and then Swift Sparrow 3 in the A slot. But again, Rupture Sky is another one of those instances. It's super premium fodder. I only have 2 instances of it, and I don't want to get rid of either of my 2 heroes that I have it on. And trying to get it from Divine Codes 2 pass, you get it from Byleth, but he comes with distant counter, and you're going to tell me you're going to fodder just for Ruptured Sky and throw away perfectly good distant counter fodder? That's also a premium skill, so it's hard to justify throwing a Byleth away for Ruptured Sky on him and not utilizing distant counter. So yes, I understand that Ruptured Sky is the best special on him and opens him up to a lot more flexibility in his B slot, but that's going to conclude my ramblings on this. Let me know what you guys think. Am I crazy? I could be crazy. I could be completely misunderstanding this, and this is just a not as effective build, but I think it's what I want to go for, as far as having fodder that's more readily available and not as premium. I say that as I have Times Pulse on one of these builds here. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, if something like this is the way to go, or if this build with the Speed Super Boon is the way to go, or if I should just bite the bullet and fodder off Ruptured Sky and just go full dive into Innis on this. I'm kind of torn. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you guys think of these builds, if they're feasible, as far as, especially for PvE, I think this is by far the best. But when it comes to Arena and maybe some higher scoring content, that's where it gets tricky. But I hope you guys have enjoyed maybe a little different thought process to Young Innis than some of the other videos that are out there. I hope you guys are building him too. He's a fun unit to use. I've already enjoyed using him in the Tempest Trials. So with that brings this build unit video to a close. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I crazy? Are these good builds? Am I completely off my rocker with Special Spiral 3? Should I be looking at something else? I would appreciate the feedback because frankly, I'm leaning on you guys to help me make a decision on how to build him. And keep an eye out for that summoning video. That one should certainly be a fun one. Take care.